So today I did a working, well I'm doing a working with Phul now, the Olympian spirit of the moon. Um, for one thing, I drank some liquor to get into it. I actually got a lot of so the funny thing here with Phul is I don't have a good feeling of when the working begins or ends. And I think that's really interesting, especially since moon is so connected to mind, but also subconsciousness. Like, I've been contemplating what is the mind. Like, I see in some interpretations that moon and sun are like the heart and the head. The moon is the head and the sun is the heart. I don't understand this. I don't think it's really. I know it's the heart and the sun. Like, the heart is the solar center of the body. For me, maybe it's because I'm a lot more mental, that the way it seems to sort of manifest is that, see, before I thought, wasn't sure if being logical was moon, having this logical mentality is moon, and then sun is more like ego, which is like, yeah, I don't think that's the case. Sun is certainly ego, but I think...
No, dear, no.
And, okay, continuing from the last, which was yesterday. Didn't get a chance until just now, which is annoying. You know, seizing opportunities multiplies them. I've seen that, but also you kind of have to, at some point you have to let everything kind of be in its time. And I think finding the balance between that can be tricky. But for me, it's luckily not that tricky because I just a lot of the times just simply don't have the time. But yeah, I think keeping busy is maybe the key. Because if you actually stop, like, you can slow down a lot, but once you stop, getting going again it can be impossible. So, which I was forced to stop too, but now maybe like that, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, back before my ex, she was like 6 months behind in her schoolwork, so yeah, I had to take on a lot of responsibilities so she could basically do the bare minimum, but also, kind of give her a bit of a break because, she had a slightly more difficult time than me previously. I think this interconnects with the theme of the moon. I don't really get the theme of the moon that much. I'm realizing. I thought I was more like clear on it. I'm getting. I think the really interesting realization from this working with Phul, the Olympian spirit of the moon, is that I'm realizing, okay, like, mentally I'm processing a lot of subconscious things. I think that's some sort of the way my sun in Cancer is kind of manifests. Is, I do have some kind of subconscious thing, and then the sun kind of feeds into the subconscious, but I'm not really that aware of the subconscious as much as I thought, which is interesting. I mean, I wondered because I'm always talking about subconscious, which, talking about something. Sometimes you talk about something and you're speculating about something, and the answer to it will, like, change your life, but, it takes time to get answers, so, yeah, it's funny because, yeah, lately I've been thinking, like, am I really as vested in subconscious as I think? And, the day before when I did the sun working, I realized, oh wow, I am very much into mentality and consciousness. I think though I have a lot of I'm very aware of subconscious impulses. That's what I am into, and yeah, and so I've pretty much just like act on those to some extent. You know, I don't want to be like a nuisance, creating a nuisance for someone else or anything, but I'm aware of them, and over time I can think about, you know, like I might desire something super consciously, like I want to do my animation. And in fact, I feel like it's already a dream come true because, you know, for me, getting the thing done and seeing it as a film, I'm already like, okay, it's done, cool. You know, and it looks basically just as good as I'd hoped. I mean, it's a little bit choppy and things, but you know, but even my animation is very much into subconsciousness. Like, I don't really care if, like, I literally forgot to put the walk cycle on the main character Manazar at one point where he's walking. So for just a second or two, he's just floating across the floor and not even walking. And I just left it in because it'd be too hard to fix it because I didn't set up the file totally right. You know, most conveniently for that. So, you know, but I look at it and I feel a sense of pride. But you know, like finishing the first like slew of it, I already feel like, you know, finished. I almost feel like I finished the whole thing already. I finished a really interesting fight scene. I mean, I can only imagine what it'll feel like finishing the whole thing. And I think this begs more questions because, like, I finished work on a debate. This is also why I'm racing to the finish on Manazar, is because once I finish it, I think that it'll unlock something subconsciously, or you know, something trapped in my body somewhere. And because when I finished editing the debate, which took, you know, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks of work, yeah, when I finished editing the debate, I felt, of course, this big surge of power from you know, I think it was like my it wasn't my, I thought it was my liver originally. I don't know I don't know anatomy, man. Cool. No, I think it was something else. Forget why kind of settled on what it is. I don't know if it was like the gallbladder or what. Yeah, I think it was the gallbladder. Oh, it must have been the gallbladder, not the kidney. You know, and now I'm getting interested in some like traditional Chinese medicine on the topic. You know, I'm glad I waited to talk about this because, yeah, I think all these things are interlaced, and I think this is something where I have been doing very well to take care of my subconsciousness, my subconscious needs, I would even say that Moon is like id and Sun is like ego. I know I've said that a bunch of times, even I think once or twice or 3 times, you know, in this thing. But you know, I don't really know what Freud was on about. You know, I don't know where his ideas come from. That's the thing. When I read his book on dreams and the way he talks about it, it's clear that he has some. I feel like he had some comfort with the occult. Also, the id and the ego. You know, the fact that it's so. That it's my experience of the sun and moon is so much fitting into that. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was onto something. You know, I don't know if he was the best person in the world, but I think the information is good, to some extent. And you know, I don't read into Freud a lot, but just the term, even id and ego, the moon is this internal impulse that, you know, subconscious, and the ego is, you know, identity, logic, conscious thought. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about. I think there is an expression of the moon is just more like mentality. For example, delusion can be seen with the moon, but I think what I'm talking about is of subconsciousness is actually more powerful, and it can tell you why someone gets delusional. And it can also tell you like, well, okay, I'm gonna think through this a moment. Because moon can affect like dreams, even like, you know, big dreams that one has for one's life. It can be involved in that. So like, because like, and that can also come into play when we talk about like yukta yoga, which is moon and Jupiter conjunction. Because Jupiter is also, you know, what is the big thing you want to do with your life? It can be like that. And of course, this is another thing that I think a lot of people get wrong. People say, "Oh, Venus is love," or Mars is you know, aggression, and maybe also, you know, some kind of drive. And mainly front page, yes, but I think, you know, a little more advanced. And they do that. People, you know, people in deity work do this too. Oh, Zeus is, you know, fatherly and controls the storms, or, you know, Astaroth is pride, and, you know, it's a lot more complicated than that. I would say the gods are, to some extent, behind the reality. Like, the planets are probably some of the most real things that are visible and influential on many levels of reality. But the reality as we see it here is subsumed in the reality of the gods, who, according to Ars Arbitel, receive their powers from the controllers of the planets. Actually the spirits of the planets. The Olympian spirits, which, you know, of course, I'm working on. Which makes this practice really extra powerful. So I think this is something where sometimes mental thought can come from the moon. Especially I feel, and this is something too, is that for me, I have enough of a practice of deity work and astrology, and, you know, sort of some yogic practices, some astral projection, you know, which I'm talking around a lot of things that are interrelated or cover the same ground, but all of these different areas that I know can kind of talk to each other, and it's almost, I think some people would consider what I do chaos magic, but you know, I look for the things that are intrinsic that just are intrinsic, that can be done without a whole lot of you know, maybe some like philosophical overhead, if you will. So then, you know, sometimes when I feel intuition a lot of times comes from the moon. Like, if you have a thought that's really sort of right on about something, that can come from the moon, because the subconscious does pick up way more than the conscious mind, and like aspects of Ketu and moon can help with that. And Ketu makes one headless. That's the big thing. Ketu is headless for the most part, understood that way at least. So Ketu being headless, this can kind of make someone to the point where they, which I have Ketu square moon, I think. It is like that for me. This can create a scenario where you don't have a lot of logical or conscious resistance to the subconscious. Your subconscious can kind of play, basically. Or when your subconscious plays, it has Ketu to back it up. So astrology creates a lot of these really interesting connections where, they all talk to each other. This is something Kapil Raj talks about, is that once you get to a certain point, you rely more on intuition, and you can sort of hear the planets talking and what they're trying to say to each other, because the same placement for different people will have different results. So I guess I wanted to talk through this because I've had a lot of confusion over what's sun and what's moon. Like lately too, I found that I've sort of unearthed my ego. Like I had, first of all, I had to do some things to sort of restore my feeling of dignity, of like, mostly just like boundaries and that type of thing. They're pretty simple, but and I found, because for the longest time I just was kind of like whatever, I just let things go all the time, and that didn't end up being that good. Like at some point it was really clear that it was just being very harmful for me. And yeah, the moon can also signify such hardships, and I was just completely focused on the moon and completely focused on spirituality, and it was, kind of empowering, like, and yeah, energetically even, creating this sort of energy of poverty around me, because spirituality does have the potential to make you a bit poor, depending how you go about it. If it's not well-rounded enough, you can create situations where it imbalances the life. And for me, I'm getting what I want out of it. Like, I'm on the tangent of growth that I want to be. So I knew these things, but I didn't really care that much. But and I never saw the ego as being like this huge enemy. I understand that a lot of harmful things in society are because people are slaves to their egos. They're imprisoned by them. They're really have bloated egos as well, and but that didn't mean that I saw the sun as being negative. I just felt that in society now, me not being so egotistical can actually make me a lot more mobile, and I really haven't. There's nothing I could even imagine, aparting myself to, that I would feel like, oh yeah, I'm this or I'm that. I don't know, for a short period of time, for a short season, it almost kind of felt like I could do that with I felt like I built up some kind of stance at this occupation in town, but I think for the most part, it's not really productive for the things that I really want to do. I think it's kind of a massive waste of energy to, try and produce anything there. I would like to go back and be present eventually, maybe, but, at the moment, it's just not sensible. Well, I can only be there, I can hardly make it twice a month. Yeah, it's just inconvenient, that's really what it is. But yeah, I think that's the only time that I had a feeling of, I can attach my identity to something, and that can have some kind of effect on the society. That can have some kind of effect on my life, like my walking through society, because, I could be like, oh yeah, plots, or, and people are like, oh yeah, we know that thing, or, that type of thing. So, yeah, plus it's pretty niche, which, that's the other thing, is it almost felt like, being connected with sort of the left was almost like being a goth, or being an emo, or being a punk or something. It was just another thing people do to be like, oh, I'm in this club, basically. To some extent. Anyways, that was part of the journey with it. So I guess Phul is bringing me some reflection about the past. So that's cool. The moon, that's another big thing with the moon. The moon's very reflective. So sometimes people will have the moon strong in their chart, and they'll think there'll be someone that causes a lot of damage to others, and it's good damage, but because then the people see themselves, and they usually don't like what they see, because people spend so much time using their ego to rationalize and convince themselves that, you know, well, people live in guilt. If you live in guilt and regret, or you know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, big guilt or big regret, but I think people are afraid of who they really are. I think that's what it really comes down to, or maybe even literally feel guilty about who they are. And this isn't like, you know, oh, someone's you know, what, like gay, or, you know, what else do people feel, you know, or what race they are or something, but it could be obtuse things. It's more obtuse things, like someone has a desire for something that you know, other people aren't as interested in, like the occult, or non-monogamy, or I don't know. I'm a little bit projecting there, but I think most people have. I think a lot of people wonder, like, what was the point of some of the things I've done in my life, or yeah, I think there's a lot of that sort of angst and disquiet with life. And I get that it takes some spiritual attainment to get to the point where, you know, you can have peace about that. Like it is a spiritual quality to have peace with your life and your past choices, and to just say, oh, the past is in the past, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of prattling along, or rambling on, because you know, I wasn't quite with this thing with Phul. I could feel it move something deep inside of me, but I wasn't sure what, because it's subconscious. I literally can't see it. I think this is the other message that's been kind of coming through to me for a while, is that you know, up to this working, is that okay, you know, your intention is conscious, and I have been able to actually, you know, map out my subconscious really effectively, but you can't actually see it. You can only see the results. You can't actually see an atom. You can only know an atom exists by, you know, some clues. You can know you can know a lot about an atom, but you'll never know it fully. You can know everything you need to know about it, but you're never gonna know it fully. And I think, you know, it's like this is the dark ocean within. Ooh, that's what it is. That's what this is about. Wow. I've been focusing on the moon for so long, trying to, like, unveil its secrets, because the moon gives occult secrets as well, and but I felt something was wrong, like as if I was being blocked or something, but I think it's just my way of going about it is too conscious. I'm too consciously trying to grapple with the unconscious, and I found new ways to grapple with subconscious through subconscious. The way I dress. The way I dress does some things. I don't even know what it does. I think that's the point. that's the point. And art also is like there's pre-association with it. You know, you just put things in, you don't exactly know why, but it can, you know, that's like the clues of what are the properties of the atom, what are the properties of the subconscious. It's this hidden thing. It's like Schrodinger's cat or something, you know, but you never get to open the box and see the cat. But of course it's more complicated than is there or isn't there a cat. It's a whole life that is invisible, but it's not, but it leaves traces, you know. The unseen life. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. But this is really golden. I'm really, really glad I undertook this Arbitel, this working. I never would have figured this this out, doing just tantric planetary workings. Oh my god. The other thing is I feel like a very cooling sense that my energy body is just being filled. Like I said before with the sun. But I don't feel like I can't handle it. I don't feel like it's almost a little bit too much. It feels very satisfying and nourishing. Which makes me think that that the Bhagavad Gita is correct when it says that the moon nourishes all plant life, and not it says it's the moon, which science says it's the sun. Maybe it's both somehow. I don't know. I don't want to be, you know. Sort of. Anyways, this could be a big key too. That if you want to strengthen your energy body and increase your energy body's ability to receive, you work with the moon somehow. I mean, everyone uses moons, like has like moon necklaces or whatever when they're into the occult. And I think the moon's more clearly that which is hidden. I've always felt that the moon was more the significator of occult than North Node Rahu. Although Rahu can help you unlock that, and I don't understand that either. Which it's also funny because no, I do understand it because he's the bridge between sun and moon in a way, like in a really obtuse conceptual way, because he's bloated. He's bloated ego, but not really ego. He's obsession, and that obsession is the moon overtaking the sun in a way. But yeah. So Rahu is almost like acting as an opposite, but as a bridge as well. It's really interesting. That's another thing I do is I just talk free association, just let it come out, and then in that way I can sift through my subconscious. The other thing I learned a long time ago is how to absorb knowledge instead of just reading and learning. I absorb knowledge. So like this will happen where my ex will learn something in school, and then I will tell her about it without her telling me about it, and she'll be like, "Oh, we're learning that." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." But I know that I learned it because she's in my presence, and so I can absorb the knowledge straight out of her energy body. It's like the ideas. I've seen this visual before where the ideas are just hanging around her, and they get sucked into me, and then I just say it, and I didn't know what she learned, you know. So that's got to be a siddha or something, right? If only I could like throw fireballs now, you know. I'd love to. I'd want to do that at some point, if it's at all possible. You know, love to see the more physical stuff, but the more I get into magic, the more I can't imagine not being in magic in this society. Like, how can you do anything? How can you reach for your desires? How can you even know what your desires are? How can you know what you really want? You know, because see, I have this thing in my chart where, and in my life where once I get something, I'm already kind of like, I got it. You know, like I have some desire for something and I keep wanting it, and then I get it and I'm like, whatever. Like, I have it now. Cool. You know, like that excitement is just gone, just evaporates. And apparently this is a specific thing that only certain people have. Some people get the thing and they find, you know, practically supreme joy, you know. They're like, I got the thing, and they're energized by that, and they're gonna go to work and they're gonna work for the next thing. But the joy of the old thing is gonna keep being there. But it's a very spiritual thing of like getting bored of getting or being bored once you receive. It's like it has to do with just being detached from the life, and yeah, I don't know. I wish I could be more excited about things and stay excited about things. I wish that but at the same time, if I had been like that in the past, I wouldn't be where I am now. The other thing is I wouldn't be so focused on like ideological obsessions and philosophical obsessions over, over getting a 9 to 5 and just, having enough money to do some things that I like, play video games. The funny thing is when video games were like the one thing I could do to enjoy myself, I would always get so bored of them. Oh, I didn't realize this actually, holy shit. Because I've been agonizing about video games for a long time, but yeah, holy crap. You know what it is? I forget what the placement is, but it's like the true will is completely overriding the temporary will. Wow. Because now I use video games as a tool. Like there's astrological benefits. Like video games can be a remedy for Mars, for one thing. So it can be really, really helpful. And wow, yeah, because when I was just doing it for fun, I would always be disappointed with the games. Now I just can like the game for what it is, because it's just something I do sometimes. It's almost not that fun for me. Sometimes it's really fun, but like the same game, and I can tell when I need the remedy for Mars, when the game is really fun and I'm really like just absorbed for like 2 hours. I'm like, yeah. Because you have to feed all the planets, you have to feed all the houses, you have to, feeding, the concept of feeding in astrology is like, at a basic level, it's one of the most important concepts to understand, because if you don't understand that you need to feed these impulses within yourself, these planetary energies, that you don't have to, there's a debt service you have to undertake, basically, to these planets. These planets are exercising a debt over you. Or, you don't have to think of it as a debt, but just, the planets are there, they want something from you. That's the way it is, so, yeah. The other thing is, being in subconscious makes it easier to communicate with spirits, and spirits will tell you everything you need to know. I will say that I'm to the point now where I communicate with spirits and like aliens, and I do all this crazy shit all the time, and I've kind of become basically the esoteric like space cadet. If I feel sort of lucky that I'm not around other esoteric people though, that are like sort of on my level. I think it would be a problem. I think, there's just things, once you get too many heads together, it can create issues. Anyways, yeah, okay, well it's a lot of wisdom and realizations coming from Phul now that, yeah, are really, really helpful. Wow. Holy shit, man. Now I'm debating, like, this was almost as powerful as the working with oak. It's probably about just as powerful. It's just different. Anyways, so last night I had a dream, and in the dream, I was in this house that I've seen before. The house is, I think, okay, it's one of those houses in US where it's like one floor, glass screen door on the side. This one was a bit of a wealthy house, and it had more windows though, and it was like as if it was like a rich person's house in like California or something, like in Hollywood or something, like you'd see in a movie or something. And yeah, and then it had a basement as well. There's that as well. And in the dream, my parents were there, and they were super proud of me for, I think I had finished my film, and my grandparents were also there and super proud of me, and my aunt and uncle. I think also some people I knew were, some of them seemed a little sour that I had done something and finished it, but, like almost being like jealous or something. But they were there and they were still, making the appearance of being happy for me, which I also appreciated. It's funny because I had this dream a while ago, the same dream practically, but the venue was different. I felt that my family members were proud of me in the dream then too, but I felt that their pride in me was more perfunctory. Where in this dream they're looking at me like, oh, you've done something, and they were just so overwhelmingly proud, and I could see that. And whereas before it was like, oh, good job, bud. Well, just kind of standing there awkwardly, like, and in the dream everyone wanted to be close to me, whereas in the previous dream everyone was just standing at a distance, which happens to me in my real life too, is that people don't really get close to me. I think I probably repulse them with, energetically repulse them with just my very Aquarian, bizarre persona. Yeah, I think that's all there is to tell. Also, the video quality in the previous stream, when I turned on the movie, it was on a shitty projector on an off-color screen. It was projecting it onto, I think it was just the wall, and you could see like the shit on the wall, like, just little cracks in the drywall and stuff like that. It didn't look that good. This time it was on a proper screen that was totally clean and everything. It looked really good. Like, it was one of those situations with a projector where it looks better than a TV. So I was really happy with that. But it also felt just comfortable. It didn't feel like, I think everyone else assumed that this was like the high point of my life. I was just like, no, this is just what I've been waiting for the whole time. This is the new normal. This is the new thing. This is the new way it's gonna go. So, which is my thought process. Like, but I think it is interwoven with the film. I think the film represents, a desire I've had for so long. It's not only about the film itself. It's not only about, oh, I wanted to do animation. It's like, I've wanted to express something, this kind of something subconscious thing within myself for such a long time, and now it can get out. I'm racing to the finish of this film because I know once it gets out, it's gonna be something. It's gonna change something. I can feel it, and I'm excited about that. Very excited. So. I don't know what exactly. It might be totally subtle, or who knows. It's so weird sometimes, the things that cause, very physical or material or even physiological changes, like, finishing the debate. Like, did something to my gallbladder. Like, I never would have expected that. I mean, I've been in magic, doing this magic stuff forever, but how do you think to anticipate something like that? And then, of course, yeah, sometimes you do something subtle and it creates some huge physical change, and I just don't completely know how to account for it. It also kind of scares me because then it makes me think how the elite sort of control the world through media, especially, and just how powerful these things can be. It's basically like a spell, and I think I wasn't fully aware of the way in which these things are efficacious, and now that I'm seeing how much these things are obtuse, just, beyond what the average person can understand, beyond what I understand, then it's like, okay, there's more to these things, there's more to how the world is controlled than I even knew up until now. Being a magician for like, what,